Good evening, my friends. How's it going today? Well, it's about December, 10th, 2016 or so. I'm making an interesting change in my business practices. You know, something I've been considering for a long time is nootropics, or nootropics, however you want to pronounce it. And these are combinations of substances which can enhance brain cognition. And I found this fascinating for a long time. And of course, being a kratom vendor, I'm selling an herb which I consider to be a slight nootropic in its own way. But I also carry Mucuna pruriens, which is another nootropic additive, as well as ashwagandha, which has also been considered a nootropic by some people. And I've had several people ask me, do you carry pyramidum or a variety of other, compounds which are used to enhance brain cognition. And the most interesting thing is, I had somebody actually ask me today, just like, a few minutes ago on an email, if I was familiar with a particular substance which they had become addicted to. And this further, inspired me to continue making this video and making this subject. I'm not quite sure how to put this forward. There's a huge community of people who take these substances in order to feel more confident, have more energy, or more brain cognition, the ability to function at a higher level. And people have seen the movie, Limitless, and, he takes a pill and he's in this, realm where he can use his brain to its full capacity. Well, to an extent, this is what people are after. And this was called brain hacking by some people. I have been reluctant to speak about it only because I wanted to make sure that I'd done enough research to know a little bit about it. And it's not that it's something new to me. I've been doing this for a long time. Nicotine and caffeine are two of these phenomenal components which actually can help you with brain cognition, with functionality in your life. Now, caffeine, over 90% of all the great works of literature written through history have been written by people who were under the influences of large doses of caffeine and or nicotine. And this is common knowledge that many of the artists and musicians and people through history have been under the influence of one substance or another, which helped them function. Not just help them function, but to tap their full resources of their brain. Here I am with my espresso. Now, the interesting thing about caffeine is that it actually can enhance your ability to remember, enhance your cognition. One way we can really decide and find out which things assist us is when we're typing on a keyboard. For those of us who use a computer, most of us, I'm sure all of you have had those days where you just cannot type. Your fingers just don't work. And other days you're just flowing. You don't even know how you're doing it. And, this is different for everybody because some people are already really good typists. I took a couple years of typing, but I still suck at it. Maybe 50, 60 words a minute. But sometimes I can't even do half of that. And I've learned over my time which particular herbs work for me. And so I've made a list here of some of these. And the reason why is because of my website. I've been selling kratom for a year and a half now. And I also have a couple of different herbal blends that I've made. But I've only recently decided to start carrying my own nootropic line, and it's not going to be for a few more months. I'm going to make sure that it's done right. I've ordered the ingredients for a few of these blends that I would like to make. Most of the people who take these, they know they're called stacks. Stacks can consist of an herb that you take, an herbal blend that you take every day, once a day, or maybe one you take twice a day, and sometimes it can consist of herbs that you take one day, different herbs and compounds the next day. That way you don't get any issues with not just cross-tolerance, but certain herbs will cancel each other out. Taking certain substances at the same time, your body will actually not be able to absorb one because the other is present. So, my slight list here: nicotine, caffeine. Now, the interesting thing about caffeine is that if you just drink coffee, if you just take a caffeine pill, it's not the same. If you take green tea extract or have a different caffeine source, or you can mix caffeine with L-theanine. Now, L-theanine balances out the anxiety that comes with drinking caffeine or consuming caffeine. So it allows you to benefit from caffeine without having the jitters, without feeling anxious. Now, it is found in tea, but I'm not sure about the amounts found in coffee, but it can be added to caffeine. And some of these nootropic blends are actually just caffeine and L-theanine, because in itself that can be helpful. Say 20 milligrams to 100 milligrams of L-theanine is the recommended dose, but I guess it's going to depend on the person. And these are all going to depend on the person's body chemistry, what time of day it is, when they're taking it, what their mood is, and what they've eaten. All these different things affect. Mucuna pruriens, it's an herb I've been selling for about a year now. I didn't even realize it was considered a nootropic, but I should have figured because it has l-dopa in it. Now, some people say they prefer not to mix that with other stacks and other compounds. I think in small doses it's not an issue myself, but I enjoy taking Mucuna, though I take it only once every couple weeks. It has a very distinct effect, and in fact it actually gives me a little bit of an extreme deja vu. And after doing research on deja vu, I've come to find out that dopamine production can help to affect deja vu by causing short-term memories to be stored into long-term memories without going through the short-term. So you think that it's something you've experienced, and it's really a complex action, but it's pretty interesting stuff. And it shows me that if I'm taking an l-dopa product, if I'm having deja vus, then I know it's working. And it can also enhance heavy dreams. That's interesting in itself. Yerba mate is another one that can be mixed. That has caffeine as well. But it can have certain negative effects for some people. I can't remember if it's the tannins or some particular compound in it. But fish oil. Fish oil and krill oil have been used. And that's an interesting one. I had somebody who asked about hemp oil, because hemp oil actually considers a larger variety. It has the omega-3 and 6, but it also contains some compounds that fish oil doesn't. And I believe that hemp oil in itself can help, as well as CBD. Now, part of my regimen is I take a smoothie mix that has I add a peanut powder, as well as moringa, which is a full, let's just say it's a plant that has a lot of, vitamins and minerals in it. And then I add some CBD as well as some hemp oil. And it's a phenomenal. I mean, I feel great after these smoothies, but, of course there's a lot of, psychological, whatever you take, if you expect it to work, you may get placebo effect. But it keeps me functional, even when I'm not eating full meals and, eating properly. Another one I looked at was Shavarti. That's the women's equivalent to ashwagandha, which is interesting because I take ashwagandha too. I mix that in my smoothies, and it's considered an adaptogenic herb. It's an Ayurvedic herb, which is Indian traditional medicine, and so is Mucuna. And I have, the pyramidum is an interesting, or pyracetum. I've done a little bit of research on that one, and from what I understand, it makes you feel wonderful. Makes you feel confident, functional, But at the same time, it actually, uh, it's very difficult to explain, but I kind of understand what the person was saying, that it puts you on a neutral plane. So if you're a stressed out, anxious, angry person, it can put you on a totally relaxed, chill plane. But if you're a person who enjoys your emotions, you'll still be on that plane. And it will be hard to break away. And from what I understand, this can last a couple days or more, or even a week. That people say after they take it, there's just something wrong. They can't be their true selves. But they're relaxed. And that sounds similar to how a benzodiazepine, affects me. Although they're different mechanisms of action. There's a list here of a variety of things that can be used for nootropics. Bacopa monnieri, caffeine in a variety of forms, aniracetam, paramacetam, Mucuna pruriens, yerba mate, grapeseed extract, nicotine, and yes, nicotine is one that I experiment with myself, but in vape form. Tobacco isn't exactly a healthy thing to consume, but nicotine in itself has been, if you look into it, nicotine is considered one of the top nootropics, and it's controllable, in short term, but to each his own. Fish oil, krill oil, GABA, 5-HTP. Then there's asparagus, asparagus racemosus, which is Shavarti, which the vendor I buy my ashwagandha from actually carries it, but I wasn't familiar with it. I don't know if that's such a strong one. But boswellia, or frankincense, is another one. And that interested me, because I was also going to include that in some of these pills I make called Gregor's Blend, which are they're all cancer herbs. I've made this particular herbal blend that is just for cancer. And of course, no, it doesn't cure cancer. It's all herbs that have been shown to fight cancer in vitro or in laboratory tests. And that's about as far as you can take it medicinally. But there's Magnolia officinalis, serrata, and vitamin B6 and B12, and then ginkgo biloba, which was a huge one in the 90s, 2000s, but has also been seen to have possible adverse reactions. So that won't be included in mine, nor will paramacetam or any of these other aniracetam. I don't believe that they're safe long term. That's just my personal opinion. So my thing is to build a nootropic that's based on natural herbal products that actually I consider safe, that are in their whole form. I don't prefer l-dopa in its raw form. I have a big bag of it, but I won't use it. Mucuna pruriens is the way to go. And it seems to have other compounds in the plant which actually assist. And it's not quite known how. There's a lot more going on in some of these plants, and people will tell you that they know and pretend that they understand it all, but the synergy between these substances is still unknown. And only experimentation can really get you there. The last couple I'd like to mention is light therapy and music therapy. And believe it or not, we know that people don't get enough sunlight, and that your body needs vitamin D, and that's only gotten through sunlight. But it can also be gotten in other forms, and fungus is one of them. Mushrooms actually are one of the only natural sources of vitamin D, from what I understand. And music therapy is obvious. If I have to explain it, I guess there's no way that you would understand. But music itself, I think most people get it. If you listen to a song that brings back nostalgia and feelings of peace, something that will mean something to you, then it will put you in a peaceful state of mind. Whoops. And that's an important thing for people, to be able to be calm whenever something happens. Shit is going to happen in your life. You're going to have events that are going to cause you to go, oh my God, what happened? But the idea is, how do you deal with them? And some of these particular substances can actually help you to deal with these problems without freaking out, and with a clear, calm head, without getting angry at people for saying things that bother you, without feeling upset and trying to hide it, or trying to pretend you're not upset. Because I know when I'm upset and when something bothers me. And when it is, and when it does, I question it and say, what can I do to change this? Ashwagandha, for one, it's an adaptogenic herb in the sense that it helps you deal with stress in a completely different way. You can see the problem and clearly go, oh well, I'll fix it, but without losing your emotion, and that's the key. There are plenty of substances out there that will allow you to, abandon your emotions, but that's not what you're after. You want to be able to laugh and cry and have a good time, just not be stressed, and that's a tough one. And with nootropics, it's about finding a balance between, you want to be able to wake up in the morning, feel good all day, for at least most of the day, and then go to bed at a decent time. There are plenty of drugs and substances, if you want to feel good all day, sure, you can do methamphetamines. They make you feel great, but long term, the damage can be horrific, and the come down is horrible, so it's not worth it. And what we're looking for is something that can give us a slight boost throughout the day without making us feel like crap when we decide to stop. So that's kind of the race, and some people might call it some sort of a transhumanism. Other people might call it brain hacking. I would say whatever you call it, if it benefits you, go for it, and if it doesn't, don't. So I will be probably carrying that product on my website if anybody's interested next year sometime. I ordered the colored capsules. I want to make sure that everything's done properly and the mixtures are right. So after sampling and whatnot, I'll be carrying it on the website. And other than that, I wish everyone luck, and good luck in your lives, whatever you may be doing. I'll talk to you all later, and have a great day.